Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take this moment to say thank you for listening to the Real ResQ Podcast. It means a lot to me that you enjoy these stories as much as I do. Since the start of this podcast, we've had a lot of support from all over the world. It has been amazing. Now, we have companies joining our team that also want to say thank you for all that you are doing out there standing the watch. These companies are offering discounts on their products as a way to support the rescue community and those tuning into the Real ResQ Podcast. Just go to therealresq.com, click on sponsors, and see these incredible offers for yourself. This episode of the Real ResQ Podcast is brought to you by Breeze Eastern, the world's only dedicated helicopter hoist and winch provider. Axness, because when lives are at stake and conditions are challenging, clear communication is of the utmost importance. SR3 Rescue Concepts, because you don't know what you don't know. And Versalifts, to be your best, you need to squat your best. Breeze Eastern, they dedicate themselves to our helicopter rescue world. Since the very first helicopter rescue in November of 1945, Breeze Eastern has designed and manufactured superior rescue hoist solutions. While much of the technology and the unique mission requirements have changed over the past 75 years, their commitment to the rescuers, the operators, and those being rescued has not. Contact them today by visiting them at breeze-eastern.com. The Axness PNG wireless ICS system can bring cutting-edge wireless intercommunication system technology to any aircraft. The PNG system can be fully integrated into an existing ICS system or can be carried on and off as a mobile base station. They can go anywhere at any time on any aircraft. Plus, with the strongest and most robust waterproof handheld in the market, this system can take a hit and keep working. Their wireless intercom systems are designed to enhance situational awareness through improved communication capability. This system brings superior noise-canceling technology to eliminate rotor wash and engine noise from your ICS. The Axness PNG wireless system is currently deployed in more than 1,800 public safety, air ambulance, and search and rescue aircraft worldwide. I have personally used the Axness system in 4 different countries and on 5 different airframes. It is awesome. If you want more information, contact them today at axness.com. That's AXNES.com. You just make sure you tell them Quinny sent me. SR3 Rescue Concepts is a training company that can help your helicopter training. They train daytime, nighttime, aerial firefighting, hoist, long line, fast rope, rappel, and more. They can assist your program with standardization and safety checks or just an FAA annual refresher. With the certified flight instructor pilots and experienced crew, they are ready to help your agency keep up to date with current techniques, rules, regulations, and equipment. Plus, right now, SR3 is offering 10% off anything in their web store with the promo code, all capital letters, Real ResQ, REALRESQ. Plus, they are offering another 10% from their partners Petzl and their equipment. All you got to do is send an email to info@sr3rescueconcepts.com. Mention this podcast, the Real ResQ Podcast, and they'll take care of the rest. And Versalifts. When you're at the gym working on your squats, building your leg strength for the next rescue mission, depth matters. If you're like me, getting below parallel on your squats is tough. Well, allow me to introduce Versalifts heel inserts. These gems have become one of my new favorite accessories in my gym bag. Simply place them into your regular training shoe, either on top or underneath the insole, and bam! You've got a heel lift benefit of a weightlifting shoe, but the comfort and flexibility of your regular trainers. So the next time your workout just has heavy squats, grab your V2 strength inserts. Or how about a run, pull up, push up, air squat, and another run? Grab your V2 endurance insert. Or my own personal workout of running, clusters, and ring muscle up. Grab your original V2 inserts and go crush it. Check them out today at vlifts.com or on Instagram at Versalift. And when you're ready to get a few pair of your own, make sure you get your 10% off with the Real ResQ discount code. Squat well, friends. Coming up next, myself and Mr. Jon Gray from Hangar Z Podcast team up together for our next interview. The great part about this is that we sit down together with Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Those guys had an amazing rescue, and I wanted to hear about it, and then Jon wanted to hear about it, and him and I talked about just collaborating together to make it happen. It came out fantastic, and we're so happy those guys came on and to join us to be able to do it. So please welcome our next guest, the crew from Riverside County Sheriff's Department, and the rescue that earned them the Aviation Public Safety Association 2002 Aircrew of the Year Award. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ Podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Hangar Z Real ResQ Mashup Podcast. I'm your host, Jon Gray. With us, we got Quinny. What's up, Quinny?
What's up, Jon? Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, buddy.
Like Real ResQ, Hangar Z coming together.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of a trip, huh?
It is. It's about time.
I would try and say where you're at, but you've told me like 3 times and I can't remember what you said, so I'll let you say where you are.
Curacao. He's in
Curacao.
Yeah.
And where is that?
It's just north of Venezuela.
Okay.
Yeah. At an all-inclusive
down
resort at the moment, but I don't want to throw that in there too much.
Hey, Quinny's coming to us even though he's fighting a cold. So
a little bit, yeah. That's
he's down for the cause.
I feel dedicated to this one because I love the story that's about to be told. So I'm excited to hear it.
And then with us for the second time is the crew of Rescue 9 from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Now, this is an interview that we attempted once before in their hangar, and through some technical difficulties, the audio did not turn out very well. So we changed the format of the interview and brought on Chad, Drew, and Mike, and we'll get into your guys' roles as we go. But Chad, we'll start with you. How you doing, Chad?
Doing great. Thanks for having me tonight.
Yeah, man. And where are you coming to us from?
The northern Arizona region.
Okay. Are you guys in the middle of some snow, or what do you guys have going on now?
Most of it's melted off. Just got a couple inches here for a couple days, and that's just up in the kind of upper elevations right now. But it's nice. Good, cool weather.
And Drew, I know you're out of the region as well. Where are you coming to us from?
I'm visiting my sister, doing a little vacation in Scottsdale, Arizona. I won't be as secretive as Chad here, on whatever part of Arizona that is. And Quinny, I can tell your throat looks very sore. I can see how sore it looks. So I apologize for that. But
thanks.
We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to finally meet you. Yeah.
Quinny's fighting through it. And then we got Mike Edwards. How you doing, Mike?
Good. How are you guys doing tonight? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Stoked to have you join us and really happy to recover this interview because, talking about this incident and the award you guys got subsequent to the incident is really cool. So I'll just start off by saying, and Quinny will get into this as we go, but you guys won the 2022 Captain Gus Crawford Memorial Aircrew of the Year Award through APSA. So congratulations to you guys.
Yeah, well done, gentlemen.
There's 2 more that were part of this that just for logistics sake, we didn't have come on, and they're part of the story and part of the award as well. But the more people that we have on the remote recordings, the more it becomes like herding cats. So we thought we'd try and keep it as simple as we could and go from there. So
sounds good.
Yeah, man. Again, stoked to have you guys. Stoked to have Quinny doing this first Real ResQ Hangar Z podcast mashup thing is pretty epic. So
yeah, I'm freaking stoked about this. I really am. Just so you know, it's really true. All my emotions are totally real. So as we get into this story, I'm gonna be like, what?
Wow. I love that emotion you bring with your interviews. That's my favorite part of listening to it. Is you get all stoked out and you're like yelling at the guests. It's really cool.
Thanks for having us as your first mashup. I mean, hopefully it's entertaining enough for all the viewers. But
just don't disappoint, Drew.
Well, I mean, that's my life goal is to just disappoint. So
Oh,
I thought
that's terrible.
you were going to say it's your life story, and I was like, oh boy.
We'll see. We'll see how many views it gets, and we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Well, yeah, being that Quinny's covering the rescue side of things, and we're covering public safety in general, but law enforcement in particular most of the time, it just seemed like a really good opportunity for us to join forces and do this together. And again, this rescue and this incident is not your ordinary rescue. Not that any of them are, but this is a extraordinary mission that you guys were a part of, and really cool to dig into it and hear about it. So before we do that, the Hangar Z Podcast, we do drink the day, and Quinny's not in Saudi Arabia, so he should be entitled to something, although the cold might have him down to some NyQuil or something. But
Is that cold? You know what? Hold on. Let me just reach into the mini bar. Oh look. Oh, Heineken. What?
There you go.
What is this?
Don't touch the Heine.
That's just for you guys tonight. All right.
Yeah,
Nice.
buddy.
Thanks,
All right.
man. It's nice.
Well, I'm doing I've been trying to break into the whiskeys. When I went to Echo, their public safety aviation conference, Clay Lacey introduced me to Eagle Rare. The wife made me a drink with some Eagle Rare whiskey tonight. It's just some bitters, a little bit of whiskey and some ice. So that's what I'm rolling with. Drew, I see you're
double fisting actually. I got a little whiskey and my favorite Coors Light. So I got a little bullet bourbon and some Coors Light.
all right.
I call them
Cheers to
lattes. I call them lattes. So
Or some people just call it water.
yeah, I mean it keeps me hydrated. So
Yeah.
you can say I can have like 90 of them and be good to go. So.
Mike, what do you got?
Tonight I got water. I'm on call in a couple hours.
Smart man. And Chad?
Yeah.
Very disappointed. Rolling with the Santan Brewing Juicy Jack Hazy IPA out of Chandler, Arizona.
That sounds good.
Quite tasty.
That's not far from where you are. Is that kind of the main brewery that's distributing to where you're staying
I
at?
think they're pretty big throughout the state. It's about an hour and a half south from where I am, in the valley, down where Drew is.
They have a Mr. Pineapple that I absolutely love. I love Santan Brewing.
That's the half,
Oh, really?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife likes that one too.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's cool.
She's got good taste.
Well, the drink of the day is always fun. I like to hear what everyone's got rolling for the night. We got that taken care of, and now it's time to hop in the hot seat. So it's just to kind of get the brain juices flowing and see what kind of randomness we can pull out of these questions. So for the first hot seat question tonight, and Chad, we'll start with you. You're probably the elder, at least of your peers here. What outdated slang do you still use?
Sweet or awesome? I think probably outdated, but I still tend to say it a lot. Sweet, bro.
That's incriminating because I use both of those. So I think I'm right there with you.
The elder, though, I like that. Thank you. Distinguished.
Yeah, distinguished modern gentleman. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here.
Don't ever say that with Chad. Distinguished.
Drew, how about you? What outdated slang do you still use?
He's young.
I don't know.
He's not outdated.
I don't think anything is outdated. I mean, the new thing on the block is lit, L-I-T, just lit. Cool, I guess. I don't know. I guess that sounds pretty lame, but I don't think anything I say is outdated because I'm so young.
I feel like if you're the one saying nothing I say is outdated, that's their problem.
Well, yeah, you guys are a little older than I am. So what do I say?
Mike, how about you?
I don't think it's slang, but I call everybody brother. So
I like that. Yeah, like it's a term of endearment.
How do you spell it, Mike?
sometimes.
How do you spell it?
Quinny, where are you
we'll
at?
leave it at that. That's fine. Quinny, what do you got?
Well,
That's hilarious.
I saw a problem about to happen, so I just diverted.
Well done. For me, it's never going to get old because I'm from Massachusetts, so it's wicked awesome.
Oh, man.
You got to say it with the Massachusetts the accent.
Oh, wicked. It's wicked awesome. Let me just tell you.
I'd imagine that's something that's still said there today. Like that just seems cultural.
Yes, it's definitely going to go away.
Yeah, in the same way, and I don't say it with an accent, but being from California, and I think it's my age, but dude, like a California thing, I say that, and my kids look at me like I've dated myself, So yeah, that's where we're at, but it's all good. Question number 2, and Chad, we'll go back to you to start. And again, this I guess kind of goes back to the age thing, and you being the older. So you probably own the oldest thing here. What's the oldest thing you own?
Wow. Oldest thing I own. I have an original Fleetwood Mac. I have to go get the vinyl out, but original, still in the wrapper.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
About as old as I am. 75, I believe.
It's like 65 years old. Yeah, sounds about right.
I look forward to seeing you in person next time, Drew.
You're going to be left in the hangar all week. Drew, how about you? What's the oldest thing you own?
Well, I love antiquing. It's a weird passion of mine, but I got something back from 1910, a little brass dog statue from 1910. It's a little like door holder, and the little Scotty dog's like holding a leg up like it's taking a piss. It's funny as shit. So it sits right there by my TV in my den. But from the oldest thing I know is like 1910. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Mike?
I have a 1943, I don't know if I want to say it right, Mosin Nagant rifle.
You said it
Not
wrong.
sure.
The
That's
Russian
fine.
rifle.
Okay, Russian.
I'm pretty sure I said it wrong.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, the idea that it's an old antique rifle is pretty cool. Quinny, how about you?
So I think the oldest thing that I own is a set of dice. I know it sounds funny, and I couldn't even tell you what the date is from, but it's from my great-great-grandfather on my dad's side. They get handed down to like every son, the next son. So,
That's cool. Is there a story behind the dice that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. Probably a gambling problem.
Just some issues, but other than that, we'll keep it at that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, this last summer we were back east, and we went to an antique store in I guess it'd be East Tennessee, and they had a bunch of Civil War paraphernalia. It was actually from the Civil War era. So I ended up getting a U.S. Union soldier belt buckle that was from that era, and of course they tell you, yeah, of course it was in the Civil War, and there was like a chip out of the top of the buckle. And they've got this story like, oh, I was hit by a bullet and it saved the guy's life. I'm like, you just totally made that up. But, you can tell it's an old belt buckle. And so I'm just going to go with what they told me.
Roll with it.
Yeah, it's a Civil War belt buckle that saved some guy's life. So that's what I got.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep. All right. Question number 3. This is the last one. And Chad, we'll start with you again. If you could experience 1 year from your life again, which year would it be?
Yeah, giving that one some thought. I guess turning 18, graduating high school and taking that first step of moving out, getting out from under the umbrella and kind of, starting to learn about life and do your own thing.
Yeah, I like that. I'll come back to it, but that'd be my response too. Drew, how about you?
Man, that's a hard question. I haven't lived that long, but I don't know. I don't have that many regrets, but I moved out when I was 18. Maybe 3 years ago. Another critical incident I was involved in. There was some things we could have done different, and maybe I would have done that. So that would have been 2020, I think.
Okay,
maybe that.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's perceived, because that's definitely a takeaway from it. As far as like if you could redo something. And my answer, and I'll just give it out here since I'm talking about it. And I think of like what's the best year that you want to kind of re-experience. And for me, it's what Chad said. My senior in high school. I feel like your senior year in high school, you've got no responsibility, no financial responsibility, or very little. The money that you make goes to paying for gas, insurance in your car. If most people, that's where they're at. That's where I was. All your
100%.
friends are with you, and you're getting ready to become an adult. You feel like you're an adult, and it was so fun. There was the right mixture of being an adult, but also having no responsibility. So that was, for me, that's the 1 year I do all over again, because that was so fun.
I don't know. I had so much fun that year. I don't know if I need to do it again. It's just, looking back, it's just like, is there any year that you regret anything? And I think it just like 2 years ago it's not even a regret. It's just, there's things you could do different, right? I've enjoyed, I would relive every year the same and just do it the same and have just as much fun, I guess.
Like it. Mike, how about you?
It's an easy question. I would go back and when I got deployed to Afghanistan for 12 months. The guys I served with were the best guys I ever knew. So I would do that year over again.
That's cool. Yeah, I feel like that's a story, a whole story for a whole episode of a podcast right there. All right, well, Quinny, let's finish up with you.
All right, so you guys probably gonna kind of laugh at me. I do a couple of years over, but one in particular that stands out to me is 2010, and it was kind of like the beginning of a shitty year, and that's the same year I met my wife, which ended up turning my life entirely around, and it has gone like awesome since then. So it was kind of like this sucks. Oh my God, this is awesome. So
roller coaster every year.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
I think you'll score some points with that answer if, at a minimum.
That is the point. No, I'm just kidding.
Is she in the room with you right now?
No, she's not. She's working.
Hi, wife.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Blink 3 times if you're in danger.
Yeah. That answer was also for when I screw up later.
Yeah.
Put some credit in the
what I
bank.
said.
She wrote that one down for sure.
Probably. I can neither confirm nor deny. Oh, wait a minute. I'm talking to cops. I plead the fifth.
See right through that crap.
All right. Well, that's drink of the day in the hot seat. So, talking about this being the mashup, the podcast mashup between the Real ResQ podcast and the Hangar Z podcast. This is the point where I want to hand the reins over to Quinny and let him and take over. So, Quinny, it's all you, sir.
Dude, thank you, John. Gentlemen, again, congratulations and well done on the APSA Aircrew of the Year Award. And the award is, let's see, let me read it here. This award identifies and recognizes the individual and or crew members whose flying efforts and professionalism epitomize APSA's motto, to serve and protect from the air. And you guys went out and did exactly that. And this is the whole reason that John and I got together to be able to get this story. And I'm super stoked to hear about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the first 2 paragraphs of the write-up that was sent in. And if I screw some of this up, I'm sorry. You guys can help me out with the names, including the mountain again, because I already forgot what it is. All right, but
San Jacinto.
All right, guess what? You get to say that when I come to it. Okay.
Just give me a cue. I'll say it for you.
Roger that. All right, so here's the write-up. On January 27, 2002, at 18:37 hours, the aircrew of Riverside County Sheriff's Department, call sign Rescue 9, was dispatched to an injured California State Park ranger. The ranger was responding on foot to assist 2 stranded hikers that were in icy and snowy conditions at 8,000 foot level of the Skyline Trail, Mount
San Jacinto.
Thank you. And
I think you should say it. Well, I think you should say it though.
all right, San Jacinto. Huh?
Okay, that's actually pretty good.
All right.
Oh, not
All
bad.
right. All right.
Not bad.
Mount San Jacinto.
There
In
you
the
go.
ranger's attempt to hike down to the victim, he slipped approximately 200 feet on the icy snow. Due to the fall, he immediately lost his ice axe. The ranger grabbed a small, bushy branch, which stopped his slide just at the edge of a cliff. At this point, the ranger was nearly upside down and hanging halfway off the cliff, which the drop was approximately 500 feet deep. He had limited visibility due to the darkness, and the temperature was below freezing. The aircrew arrived overhead approximately 40 minutes later after his initial call. Seeing Rescue 9 overhead, the ranger radioed them to advise that hypothermia was setting in, and given his position, he would not live if he was not rescued very shortly. The ranger began talking the aircrew into his position. The aircrew noted the ranger was very panicked, and they had to calm him down over the radio. The ranger apologized, but again reiterated that he believed he would die if not rescued. He stated he was losing his grip on the branch and could not feel his hands due to the cold. He conveys that he's holding on only by a small branch, and his heavy pack was pulling him down over the top of the cliff. The aircrew acknowledged the situation and began to assess and formulate a plan. I'm going to end it right there because that in itself is just like legit. And I'm like beyond excited to get into this. I am curious about like how did you guys even get called out? I know it says the Ranger called, but what did he just Hail Mary on the radio? Mayday, mayday, mayday? Or what?
That was actually the second call.
Okay. Well, let's go. I mean, sorry, John, back to you for a second there, bud.
Yeah. So on that, Chad, do you want to walk us through basically how the call came through to you guys and what the response looked like from there?
So for the state park rangers, they have their own dispatch center. So I'm sure he relayed to them, hey, I need some assistance. So they call over to our dispatch center. And then we have a hailing frequency called air call. So anytime dispatch needs to get a hold of one of the aircrew, patrol, or rescue, they'll come up on that and generate a call. So we log on to the CAD real quick. We'll pull that call. If there's a lat long in there, we'll pull that, plug it in, see where it's at on the mountain, just to kind of get an idea on our way. And then any text that's in there, clothing description, that kind of stuff. So we'll take that with us.
But Chad, if I'm not wrong, we were dispatched to the 2 lost hikers or stranded hikers before we got the Mayday for the state parks guy, right?
Absolutely. Sorry. Yeah.
That's correct.
You go ahead and take over on that one then, Drew.
Oh, okay. So
good call.
I mean, yeah. So we all sit at the hangar, or not sit at the hangar, but we're all doing our job, and we got the call for
Nice
an emergency of
very good.
frequency. Yeah, we got the call on air call for 2 stranded hikers. They were experienced, had all the equipment necessary, but stuck on the icy slopes, and they couldn't proceed up or go back down where they came from. So they were stuck in an area where they couldn't go up or down, and so that was our initial call. So we're getting the bird ready, all geared up, ready to go, and then in flight is when we got the Mayday call for the state parks guy who had left his post to go try to assist those guys who were very close to the top of the peak of Mount San Jacinto. And then when he was, egressing down to them, he slipped and fell. So we quickly transferred our, assessment mid-flight from rescuing 2 experienced hikers who were in an okay position to a now, serious danger state parks guy who was, fighting for his life. So we immediately switched from saving those 2 civilians to going to the state parks guy who's hanging off the side of the cliff.
Yeah, in essence, it becomes like an officer down scenario, and you guys are responding to that. But before we go any further, Quinny, I just want to, paint the picture as far as the program goes. You guys had just brought the Airbus H-145 online within a year of this call coming out. And you guys, your Star 9, Rescue 9, your aviation program is set up so that your Star 9 airships are covering patrol and doing a majority of that type of work. Whereas you guys in Rescue 9 are doing most of the rescue work. Chad, can you talk about how that plays a part in this a little bit?
Okay. Prior to the 145 or having Rescue 9, we did all of our hoisting and rescues with H-125s. So once that came online, that definitely alleviated the patrol side of it. So those guys just became dedicated. They're handling patrol calls, missing persons, all that good stuff, of scene requests for photos, VIP, ride-alongs, you name it. So the role of Rescue 9 is there's a lot of training. So we are more like the firefighter status. We're listening to air call constantly. And if you can squeeze in a workout, or hey, let's go do a training flight, whether it's some IFR, do some approaches into the local airports, or let's go do some hoist training with the rescue techs in the back. So we try and keep ourselves busy, proficient, and then inevitably, hey, we'll make a plan. Let's go do this today, and boom, the rescue comes out. So
yeah, it's added a huge level of capability for you guys that you could do it with the 125, but this particular case, in my mind, would be a lot different if you were in the 125 versus having that 145 that you guys used in this call. So it was really cool that you guys had that. Really cool to see this program take hold and become as successful as it has over the course of the last, 2 years now that it's been active?
Yeah, 2 years. And 100% agreed with that. I mean, had we not had that bird at the time, it would have been the TFO getting on the, strapping himself on the side of the skid with the harness. You have a pilot, and then we'd have our volunteer forces, Riverside Mountain Rescue or Desert Search and Rescue, whoever it may be. And those are the guys that we would actually take up to ride the hook up and down. So now you have a pilot, co-pilot, 3 deputy sheriffs that are trained as EMTs or rescue techs, and that's all they do is they work. That's the back of the bus for them. And crew chief, catcher, and then the downside rescuer that rides the hook, and they all kind of rotate, take turns doing that each hop or each day, however the schedule is put together. And yeah, it's definitely saves a lot of time versus sitting there holding a hover manually, which we're spoiled now because the 145 with its capabilities. It's awesome. And we're able to, not just 1 or 2 people max in the 125. We can bring, I think we've had as many as 5 or 6 now with small children in the back during one evolution. So
yeah, makes a big difference.
Game changer. You hear that a lot.
The last thing I'll throw out before I hand it back to Quinny is based on our last conversation. I remember you guys saying the volunteer search and rescue ground team that you guys usually utilize, they were tied up on another incident, right?
I believe they were actually doing training on a different part of the mountain, and we don't normally have open communication, so we don't know what their schedule is. It's if we need them, we activate them going through dispatch, and they'll call them out to us. So at that, as far as I know, all the information we had, we didn't know that Riverside Mountain Rescue was even on the mountain that night.
So it was just, as far as you knew, it was just you guys. You guys were the only people that could make an effect on this rescue.
Yeah, we requested them, and they actually did come and help the other 2 that we'll talk about later that we couldn't end up rescuing, but they were coming from a different part across the freeway. But They're invaluable. They're a great service. But yeah, they were doing some training in a different part of the county, but they got there as quick as they could and ended up saving or rescuing the other 2 that we didn't end up getting to.
Quinny, back to you, sir.
All right, gentlemen. Well, now, so you guys get launched out for the 2, get diverted to the park ranger. What was the radio call that came in for that? Just
your standard call out. Just 2 lost, or not lost hikers, but 2 stuck hikers. This one was, but they had our dispatch is fantastic. They know all the questions to ask. They were properly geared, had water, had food. They were just stuck in a location that they couldn't go up or down. So it wasn't like your normal, hey, this guy's got a broken leg or is stuck somewhere. So not that delays a response or anything like that. It just makes things different. If someone's like in dire need, everyone's heart starts racing. This was just a normal, your basic, we thought was basic routine, rescue. Hey, these guys are stuck. They can't go up. They can't go down. We're just going to do a hoist and we'll get them out of there. But they had all the provisions they needed in case we couldn't get up there. It's high altitude. We could get clouds. We could get snow. We could get all that stuff. And it was wintertime, so there was snow. But it was just your somewhat what you call it a normal routine. But in law enforcement, nothing's routine.
Yeah.
And so halfway there, it was no more routine. We got the hailing frequency for, hey, State Parks was on his route there, and he's now slipped down the mountain. And it changed from the routine to now an emergency. And then that's when everything changed.
So, all right, Drew, where were you sitting in the aircraft? What position were you doing?
So I'm a tactical flight officer, and I'd been assigned to Rescue 9 for only, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months, training the new rescue techs on hoist operations. And they had all gone through medical school, so they knew all the medical stuff. I was just there to train them on hoist operating. And at that point, we took 2 of the techs and we left 1 behind just for weight situations and such. And so we went out there and we formulated our plan. We were going for 2 victims, right? And then obviously things switched midair. And then, so I was just going to be the hoist operator and just going to, lower one of them down for the 2 victims. And then drastically things changed, and that it sent everything into a way different. It's just something that it's what we train for, but it's just until it happens to you, you just don't know how you're going to act. But I was just the hoist operator and then technically the crew chief at that point in time.
Okay. Chad, what were you doing in the aircraft? What position were you?
I was a primary pilot that night. We do fly dual pilot, so didn't get to mention the other guys that were with us, but Corporal Andy Rasmussen was the co-pilot that night, and Rescue Tech Deputy Mike Doyle was the other guy. And then Drew mentioned one other guy. We forgot Deputy Travis Lloyd. He was our fuel guy that night, so a very, very important job.
Oh, yeah?
Real quick. The day we did the recording in person, he was actually given an award, and maybe Drew, you can talk about the award that he was given on that particular day.
Travis, yeah, he's a great dude, and he's one of our best hoist operators, honestly. But he happened to be the guy that got picked behind. It wasn't a flip of a coin or anything. It's just he sat behind. But we gave him a golden nozzle for the fuel operator. So I built the wooden base. I built awesome. I do some custom woodwork on the side. So I built him a nice little custom wooden base. And then one of our other pilots got like one of those nozzles, like a gas nozzle online, and we spray painted it gold and just said, shit couldn't happen without him. So we spray painted it gold and had the Golden Nozzle Award for Travis because he was there. He was integral. You got to feel the bird up before we go. So without him, we couldn't have flown there.
Dang, that's
what does it say on the trophy?
Yeah, so he got a nice little trophy out of it, and it sits.
What does it say on the trophy, Drew?
I don't remember what it says, but I can't.
He
filled the gas and kicked some ass or something like that, something along those lines.
He said he pumped the gas and sat on his ass.
That.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's.
All right.
It's a team effort all around. It's a team effort all around.
It's all good. It's all good. So, all right. So, Mike, what position? What were you doing in the aircraft, Mike?
I was one of the rescue specialists in the back. I ended up being the one to go down.
Nice. Okay. All right. So, Chad, I'm going to come to you real quick because I want to find out a little bit more. You guys now get on scene. I'm going to fast forward. It says the park ranger had kind of radioed you guys in a little bit. When you see him in his precarious position, what was the first thing that went through your head?
I'll be honest, I didn't see him.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's
well,
even better.
Hear me out. So we have the lat long.
It was not easy to see.
So we have the lat long, and that was plugged in. The co-pilot plugs that in, so we know what direction, bearing, all that good stuff. So once we get there, the pilot actually intentionally kind of offsets because I'm trying to put everything out the left side of the aircraft so that the front pilot, he can look out the front, and then by that time we've slowed down enough so the door is open. So Drew or the crew chief, whoever's in there, I'm trying to put that picture for them on the side so that they can see the victim. Hey, I've got it, and then they basically kind of talk me in, doing the cadence to where we're centered up over him for the hoist.
Okay. Now, real quick side note, because you guys are flying the 145, hoist is on the left side of the aircraft or the right?
For us, yes, it's on the left.
Left
There's
side.
Las Vegas Metro and I believe New Mexico State. I think they have theirs on the right, but on our A-Stars, we do it on the left. So to kind of keep that consistency,
Nice.
and it's worked out very well for us for center gravity, no issues, and it works.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So now, Drew, you're hanging out the left side. Who was the first person to see the Ranger?
So it was me just because I'm open door hanging out on the skid. And, I was fully out there. What I first saw was the two victims that we initially got called for because they had flashlights. They were, signaling us. But at that time, we knew that the state parks guy had fallen, below them. So I saw the two victims that we were initially called out for, and they were in heavy trees. And I told my pilot and co-pilot, I was like, we can't get these guys out, regardless of the situation. If there's a state parks guy that's down the hill, I was like, they got to get out of those trees. We can't hoist into that or out of that. So if they can't hike down, our guys can't hike up to them and bring them down. So I told Chad to back off a little bit. So we slowly moved the aircraft backwards. And then I just happened to see just some weird blob in the middle of the snow. We use white phosphorus night vision, it was, nighttime. And I just happened to see a weird little, thing in the snow. And I was like, I think this is our guy. And then I saw something moving back and forth, which, I correlated to an arm moving. And then, we put the spotlight down there and it happened to be the person that we were looking for. So it was just, not luck, but, you use the information you have. But we went to the proper location and then we guided ourselves down the mountain to where the victim that we actually saved was at.
All right. So now you get to see him hanging on the side of a cliff with a 500-foot drop below it. You guys are hovering up somewhere around 8,000 feet. What's the first thing that goes through your mind?
Where do I put my rescue tech at? Because it's all white. Everything's white. Like I said, we're white phosphorus. So under goggles or off goggles, everything's just white. Like, how deep's the snow? How big is the slope? Is it really a steep slope? I don't know. It was a very challenging and a situation that I've been in multiple times during the summertime, but under snowy conditions, everything's different. The terrain changes. So I found a rock that had a bare spot on top, and I said, well, it's probably got ice on it, but at least I know that's a solid, footing. And then there was a bush near that rock. So I told Mike, who was going to go down the hook. So our aircraft, we do pilot, co-pilot, rescue chief. We have a downsider, and then we have a catcher. And then that catcher could also be an extra downsider if we need to send another person down the hook. So we have a 5-man crew. and the crew chief. So our plan at that time was just to send Mike down, assess the situation. If he needed the extra guy, we could send my other Mike Doyle down if we needed to. Otherwise, Mike would stay in the aircraft and be the receiver for the victims. So I brought Mike up to the door and I said, Mike, I'm going to put you on this rock. He said, okay, I like it. And then that was our decision at that point. And that was obviously subject to change. But at that moment in time, that was all we had to go on. And everything else was just white. And I couldn't tell anything other than just white or that one little rock. That was it.
Oh, my gosh. All right, Mike, bring us in, man. You're getting lowered out. You're going to hit a rock, a small little rock.
Well, before that, when we were en route to go get the 2 victims, and in basically it was an 1199 call, officer needs assistance, came out, like you said, it was a different atmosphere in the helicopter, especially when we got overhead. They made the same type of calls, getting us in. Drew did, Andy and Chad talking, but you could tell in their voices it was a lot different than the other just routine call. So I hadn't had a chance to actually look outside the helicopter to see where we were at. So, and at that time, I was on for about 6 months with the crew, training, doing rescues, and I hadn't quite yet experienced Cactus of Clouds, the north face of San Jacinto, and not during the wintertime. So I didn't know what was to be expected when I was going down. So I remember kicking my feet out. Drew pointed where he was going to put me, and I said, okay, it looks like a good spot. And I see the park ranger on the ground, but because everything is so white, I can't tell how steep it is. And he's laying on his side, so I'm thinking I might do a Stokes, thinking it's kind of flat. I'm not too sure what's going on. I didn't realize how bad it was. So as he brings me out of the helicopter, I start getting lowered down. I'm watching where Drew's putting me down. I see the park ranger again as I get a little closer down, and I see that he's on the side, and I still can't tell how steep it is. I was maybe 20 feet overhead, and I still couldn't tell because it was just all white. So Drew did a fantastic job. There were some trees that he was able to get me around. He put me right down exactly where he told me he was going to put me. And it was a little ledge about 4 feet high. So I actually sat down on it.
Oh, nice.
So I sat down on the ledge, and I go to put my left hand down. And that's when I realized that everything I was sitting on was solid ice. It wasn't snow. It was just all ice. It was just about 4 to 6 inches of ice, just solid ice. It wouldn't dig in or anything. It was just solid ice. And where I ended up getting set down, where the ranger was at compared to where I was at, there was trees and bushes in the way. So at that point, I had to make the decision: either I go back up and stay connected because I can't get around the trees attached to the helicopter still, or I disconnect and then take my chances and work my way around the trees and get down to where the ranger's at. So at that point, I made the decision to disconnect from the helicopter.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
Yeah. So once I disconnected, I got down off the little ledge and realized that all the snow out there was just solid ice. It was completely frozen over. And it was about a 45-degree angle, the slope was. So I didn't have crampons on. I had micro spikes.
Oh, jeez.
That's what I was wearing, micro spikes. So I was able to make my way around the tree and come out to the clearing where the slope was at, and I'm slowly making my way down. And I remember seeing the ranger. His head was facing to my right as I'm looking at him, and he was horizontal to the slope. So he was laying on his left side, and his hands were holding on to the tree branch, and he was completely stretched out, and his heels were dug into this rock that was sticking out of the ice. That was maybe about about that wide
You're talking like
and about that deep.
a foot and a half, 2 feet wide by like a foot?
It was like over 2 feet wide and maybe like a foot out. And he had his heels digging in.
Oh my gosh.
Park bench.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And the first thing he said to me when I walked around a corner was, "Oh, you're a sight for sore eyes," as he's hanging on to the tree, the tree branch. And then I don't know. I was trying to process what it is that I was looking at because I wasn't expecting that. And I remember him saying, "Hey, I'm just hanging on by a tree branch." And when he said that, it all clicked. Like, he was maybe like 10 feet above an even steeper portion of the hill. And then just they had the scene lights on the helicopter, and I just see it going straight down, just an ice chute straight down. And as far as the light goes, it was 500 feet down, and there was just jagged rocks all the way down. No trees, just rocks. And I got on the radio, and I said, "He's hanging on." Can I cuss on here?
Yeah,
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, "He's hanging on by a fucking tree branch." As I'm standing there, and I'm about maybe a good 10 feet from him still. And Corporal Rasmussen gets on the radio and he says, "Okay, what do you need? What do you need us to do? What do you need from us?" And I'm kind of looking around trying to see what options I have, which wasn't much. And then he got on the radio again and said, "Hey, do you want us to send the tag light down?" And he kept asking me that, and I said, "Give me a minute. Let me figure out what it is that I can do." And I knew that I didn't have a lot of time, given from the time that he fell to when he called for help and the time it took us to get down there. He said on the radio that he was losing feeling in his hands. Hypothermia was kicking in when we were en route to him. So I knew there wasn't much time. Like, I didn't have much options. And so I just decided to take what gear I had on, toss it off to the side, and then slowly work my way down to him. Once I don't know how, but I was able to get almost right on top of him. And that's when he told me that his backpack, which he had this huge, multi-day rucksack on his back, said it was pulling him down the hill. So I took my knife out and started cutting the backpack off of him. And I was able to get the backpack cut off of him. And when it did, it shot down the hill.
Which I'll pause you right there, Mike. Because that scared the shit out of me. And Mike and Corporal Rasmussen, I was like, "Oh shit!" I thought someone had fallen down the mountain because all I see is this massive black. Because we're looking under white phosphorus, it's just black and white. I just see a black and white thing just tumbling down the mountain. I was like, "Oh shit! Who just fell down the mountain?"
Please don't be Mike. Please don't be Mike.
Yeah.
Please don't be Mike.
It wasn't even. We sign up for this. It is what it is. But I was just like, "Oh shit!" And then Chad and Andy, our corporal, was like, "What happened?" I was like, I don't know. And because how bright the 145 is so powerful and so awesome, we hoisted up 200 feet. Once we lower Mike down, we climb another. I don't know, Chad, you can say this or not, but we climb another 50 to 100 feet. Just the rotor wash is so intense. It's such a great platform, but it is so intense that we once the rescuer is down and he's off the hook, we climb. We raise the hook about halfway up just to get it off away from trees, but we get higher and all at that point it was it's dots and black and white little dots, but all I see is this big black thing tumbling down the mountain. I was like, "What the shit is that?" And I say it, and Chad's like, "What?" And I was like, I don't know, but something just fell down the mountain, so I'm not sure. And then luckily Michael Edwards, I'll send it back to you, but luckily he relayed quickly back to us between that quick interjection I had with the pilot and co-pilot of "oh shit." He tells us what was tumbling down the mountain, but it scared the shit out of me. But
wow,
I'm the only one that can see what's out there. So if anyone doesn't know how rescues work, the pilot looks at a fixed point straight off the nose. He's not watching the rescue. He doesn't know what's going on. It's all about who's out the door. And that great communication between, all the crew members. The pilot only knows what's happening with the rescue from the other parts of the people on the crew. So he only knows what's happening if I'm telling him what's happening. Other than that, he's looking at a rock or a tree or whatever he's looking out straight off the nose to keep the aircraft straight. So he's blind to the situation. He's just listening and enjoying the show. So whatever I say, he's going to react to. So when I say, "Oh shit," he says, "What?" And I say, "I don't know." It's a little harrowing situation but then Edwards told us, a couple seconds later that he had just cut the backpack off this guy, and that was the backpack falling down the mountain, but it scared the crap out of me.
What a relief though in the aircraft. Holy smoke.
Oh, the whole thing was just, it was below zero and I was sweating. I don't know how it happens. I was freezing my ass off. My knees were shaking, but I was still sweating. I don't know how that works, but I was so stressed. But yeah, that, especially when I see this black thing just falling down the mountain, I was like, "Oh shit, who is that? What is that?" But Edwards, back to you. Sorry, I had to interject, but it scared the shit out of me.
No,
That's awesome.
It's okay. So once the backpack, I was able to cut the backpack off. I was kind of surprised how quick it took off.
So
it was pretty steep out there.
Yeah.
It was pretty steep out there. It was gone. It was out of view within a few seconds. That's how quick it went down. But once I got that backpack off, I reached down with my left hand and was able to use the ice to my advantage and slide him up onto his side end and on his butt. And then I had sat right down next to him, and we were using that rock as to stabilize ourselves on the side of the hill. So we both had our feet on that little rock, fighting for space to stay up. And I did a quick assessment on him, asked him if he was injured, and to be honest, he said that his leg was sore, and he didn't have any. I saw no visible injuries on him whatsoever. It was a miracle that, one, he didn't get injured going down, falling 200 feet down an ice chute, and two, that he was able to grab that tree branch out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, once you start going, you pick up speed quick down those ice chutes, and not a lot will slow you down.
Right.
So he had someone. There was someone looking out for him that night for sure.
And we'll tell people it wasn't. It's not a tree. It was like a berry bush. It was like a.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It was like something that crawls out of a rock just to grow. We went back.
Wow.
We went back the next. Yeah. We went back the next day, unfortunately, but it was not a tree. It was like a 3-armed little berry bush or something. It's not a tree. We're talking like
it looked like
a tumbleweed on steroids. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Come on.
Very.
Yeah, that's what it was, like a baby sapling. It's just very small. It's very, very small. Yeah, I think it was like.
I want to go back to Mike, your decision to come off the hook, because I mean that was.
Me too.
All right, Quinny, you go with that.
No,
it's
go.
Your thing.
Take it, John.
No, I think that's Drew said we sign up for this, and we do. But we're in the business of risk mitigation. And you knowingly come off the hook. Now what the slope's like. What the ice is like. That you've got micro spikes and not crampons.
And I will say, hold on one second there, Mike. I will say this. With you talking about having to go down through trees, I totally get it, because you don't want the hoist cable to get all of a sudden intertwined with all branches and trees as you're going through. And then you create a total snag hazard to the helicopter and yourself. Just out of curiosity, Mike, I know you said you were standing on, like, we're going to call it the park bench, and you guys were kind of fighting over space. Fighting over space.
It was just a small spot.
They were nuts to butts.
Hey,
yeah.
How you going?
Yeah.
First date, that's weird.
Yeah.
Fancy meeting you here. Sorry.
Popcorn in a movie. In a movie. That was it.
Yeah. Did you have anything else that you were holding on to, or just?
No.
So just your footing. You were trusting your footing 100%.
The whole time. Yeah.
Wow. With a 500-foot cliff below you. Jeez, oh man.
Yeah. I don't want to. It was scary. But I don't think I was as scared as I should have been. Like I said, that was my first time on the Cactus of Clouds that night with the ice like it was. So going down there, I just wasn't familiarized with it, and I didn't realize how dangerous it was. So I think that's why I was able to do what I did. Because if I knew how truly dangerous the situation that I was in and he was in, it might have slowed me down a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty ignorant to how dangerous it really was.
Wow.
And then once I saw him, that just kind of went out the window. I don't want to say my safety went out the window. I was still very, very methodical on how I was getting down to him, but I was more focused on trying to get to him and get him out than trying to worry about what ifs of if I slipped or things like that. So
Yeah. Jeez, oh man. All right. So now you've got everything set up, ready to go, ready for pickup. What are they sending down?
yeah, once I got him next to me, we were sitting down. I reached over, grabbed a hot seat, and was able to get him in the hot seat while sitting down. And then once I got him set up and ready to go, I signaled for the hook, and Drew. And when I signaled for the hook, I got on the radio, let him know that I was ready to hoist the victim out. But I had to tell Drew, I said, "Hey, we can't stand up, we can't move. You're gonna have to put it right on top of us." And he was like, "Okay, not a problem." And he sent the hook down, and he got her right in my lap.
Well done, Drew.
Right in my lap. So
That's awesome. Good
Well,
job, Drew.
so it was
Well, but so Mike on the ground, all his cool shit he did on the ground, like there's other stuff happening in the helicopter, right? And I'm stressing my ass off the whole time. Like, holy crap, is Mike gonna die? Who died? Who fell down the mountain? And Chad can attest to this because we were talking the whole time, obviously. And I'm like, Chad's like, "What's going on down there?" I was like, "I don't know, dude. I can't fucking see shit. Like, I can't see. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea." It looks like people are on the ground, and it's like a constant dance, obviously, because the helicopter is constantly moving. It's not like the helicopter just sits there in a perfect hover. Even though this has a great stabilizing system, I still have to tell Chad, left, right, a couple clicks. We call a click. I think, Chad, you can correct me, but I think one click is 3 meters, so like 6 feet. So the helicopter will sway back and forth, and I say click to the left. I think it's like 6 to 9 feet, right, Chad, if I'm wrong?
1 meter for 3 feet.
1 meter for whatever. So tomato, right? So like when we get off
One
course,
beer,
I just say
3 beers, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we have raised above our hoisting capability because the downwash is so bad. We don't want to blow Mike and the guy off the mountain, so we're above it. So we raise up, and now I'm looking at between 200 feet to 400 feet. I'm trying to look down under phosphorus goggles, like they're not magnifying glasses. It's so hard to see anything, and I'm just not sure what's going on. And they're like, "What's going on down there?" I'm like, "I don't know." It was a very stressful situation that I don't think any of us had ever, Chad maybe because he's 90 years old, but I had never experienced before.
Not even half that. Come on, bro.
Chad, as far as what you experienced as the PIC, we talked about elevations 8,000 feet. There's snow on the ground, so obviously it's cold. That area is windy often. What did you experience as far as winds go and all that kind of stuff?
It's normally windy, but that particular night we were good. I mean, there were less than 5 knots. Kind of put it in perspective where the Palm Springs tram goes. We were maybe 200 yards to the east of that, just kind of in one of the pockets there. So sight picture for the hover was ideal because there was basically rocks right out to the right side of the window. So just put it in park basically, and I was just kind of doing the dialogue there between Andy Rasmussen and Drew, just coordinating, and yeah, we did have to turn the heater down. We got a little warm up front, so.
Oh yeah, shut up, Chad. Yeah, he was there. It's hot up here.
And Drew's freezing his ass off.
I was so cold. I didn't know it was cold until I got back in the helicopter, and then I was shivering. My hands were frozen. I at one point I couldn't even work the hoist controller because I didn't realize my thumb wasn't working. But I was so stressed that I didn't know I was that cold until I was like, oh, I got to bring him up, and I was like, how does this work? And I used my leg because my hand. I'd been outside for 10 plus minutes, under the rotor wash and stuff.
Right.
The heat of the moment, you're not cold. But then I tried to use my thumb, and my thumb wouldn't work. So I was like, So I had to use my leg. I used the controller against my leg to bring them up because I couldn't use my thumb.
Wow. Mike, double extraction. You went up with him?
At that time, we hadn't started training yet for the 2-ups.
Okay.
So what we did was I hooked him up to the hoist when it came down and sent him up first.
Okay.
And then I stayed down, gathered up the remaining gear that I had, and then Drew set the hook right down for a second time right in my lap. And then I hooked up, and then I was up and out.
Wow. Dang, man.
That's wild too. Like we didn't practice, seated hoists at the time. It was just an arm's length. He got about what do you I don't know, Quinny, I don't know what you guys do, but it's usually within arm's length, right? You grab the hook. If you have to move any farther, you let the aircraft come to you, right? So within a 5 to 6 foot ring, I don't know, it mitigates swing, right?
I try to land it right on target. No, I don't want anybody to step. I don't want anybody to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your arm can't reach it, the helicopter will bring it to you, right?
Right.
So,
there's another kind of tip and trick, and I'll show you this when I come out. But you make the cable do what you want. So like if you take a rope on the ground and you like whip it and it goes, you can do the same thing with a hoist cable. So you got like 200 feet of cable out. You give it a little whip, and the thing goes right where you want it to.
He was saying they're going to have to be seated. They're not going to be able to move. And we almost got the cable stuck in the tree after I dropped Mike. So I was like, well, I can't mess around with this. So we got to get it right on top of him or it could be sticky situations. So it was a very, Chad did a great job putting the helicopter exactly where I told him to. And I just got 2 lucky, super quick picks. It was the hook landed right on top of both of them. And it was in and out within, I don't know. When Mike said pick them, it was as fast as that cable could go up, and then as fast as that hook would go back down to pick them back up. I was just ready to be done with that situation and be out of there. So it was in and out with both of them. There was no moving once we got over spot. Chad did a great job holding that aircraft, and it was in and out. Within, I would say, 4 minutes, we had both of them on the aircraft.
Freaking beautiful. Well done, gentlemen. Well done. Wow. What a rescue. I like it. What
sticks out to me, and go back to, you guys were using A-Stars, a three crewed A-Star to do rescues, and now you're in a 145. You got 5 people that are affecting this rescue. So the CRM changes dramatically in that situation. Now you're communicating literally between 5 people instead of 3. And the communication that takes place between you guys is on point, just by the virtue of the fact that this thing was successfully completed. Yeah. So I like that, this program's new. You've got the aircraft and the training and the personnel all in a position training wise to make this successful, and that's the huge part of this. You guys are new, but you have the training that's put you in a position where you can successfully utilize this equipment. That speaks volumes about, you guys as an agency, your desire to evolve and get better, and the equipment that you're using. Like, take one of those elements away, and this is not a successful rescue. You just say, I can't do it. So the fact that you guys are able to successfully do all this stuff on this night saved that Ranger's life. And that is, awesome.
Freaking badass. Well done, gentlemen.
100%. I mean, luckily for us, we have both platforms still, and we still train both platforms, because when the 145's down, we don't have a spare 145. So I started with the A-Star. Like my first week on aviation duty, I did rescue on A-Star. So I'm very thankful for the communication I learned from that aircraft to the 145. It made things, so much easier. And all our pilots are obviously qualified in both. But yeah, when the 145's down, Chad could have done the same rescue in the 125, but it would just been a lot scarier and a lot harder, I guess you would say. It would not have been as easy. We would have picked up the patient, left, and then had to come back for Mike if he was still seated on that little rock. Who knows? But we would have had to come back for him. We couldn't have picked them both up. Unfortunately, that's just the name of the game, But with the new aircraft, we can pick them both up,
Yeah. changes things dramatically.
100%. But we do a fantastic job. Before we get to the patient, it's pilot, crew chief, and co-pilot. Once we get overhead and the downsider's going down, it's just pilot and crew chief. And once the downsider's down, then it's pilot, crew chief, and downsider who communicate. Everyone else is very silent unless they see an emergency. Normally communications are sterile until someone has to say something. So everyone does. Our training is just fantastic. We have a great platform, and everyone just knows when they need to say something. If they don't, they don't. So it just makes and mitigates all that unnecessary chatter. But you're right. It's all about crew resource management.
Going back to your guys' desire to get better, you guys are doing some training pretty soon with SR3.
Yep.
And as part of that, Quinny's going to be out there, and I think Rob Monday's going to be there, and Dave Callan, like the all-stars of this whole group.
It's going to be fun, for sure.
From the podcast
looking forward to it.
Standpoint, I'm going to try and get out there and just observe what you guys are doing a little bit. I think Vertical might make an effort to get out there and do some observing as well, and shoot you guys in your training. But I called it iron sharpening iron. The SR3, every person they have as part of their training cadre is tip of the spear, the best in the industry to train guys like you, RSO. You guys, I consider in the same way. You guys, whether it's on the patrol side through Star 9 or the rescue side with Rescue 9, you guys are doing some cutting edge stuff. Really cool to hear the story of the rescue and just the whole program, So your sheriff, I mean, you talk about leadership. We had a leadership episode not long ago, and that man, your sheriff is the epitome of a leader. He doesn't bow down to political pressure. He does what's right in the eyes of his men. He knows what's right and what needs to be done to protect the citizens of the county, and obviously believes in the aviation program. So anyways, yeah, just love what that guy's done. And that's, kind of come down through the ranks, I think, with your program. So
100%. He's for the people and for his employees. So he's the best boss we can ask for, I think.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. He's more than doubled our unit since he's come into office. Mike Calhoun, will give him props for getting the training for SR3 coming our way, but also he did the proposal for the 145, and Sheriff Bianco saw the value in that and made it happen. So we've come a long way in just a short amount of time with just our aviation unit and going forward with the rescue program.
Quinny, before we close out here, you've become the official, unofficial spokesperson for SR3. Can you talk about some of the training that SR3 offers and what agencies, how they can benefit from that?
Oh man, it's actually, I'll use you guys specifically at Riverside. So because you guys already have experience, we're going to come out and we're going to tailor the training to you guys. Like, we're not coming out there to run you through, can you put a hoist hook down to an empty spot? We already know you can do that. So that means that we can come out and tailor whatever and give you little tips and tricks to give you further expand your knowledge of the hoisting, give you options, because I love options. For anybody that has never had training, you can start with us. We'll come out there and you start from, I've never been on a hoist hook, to you're putting somebody in 150-foot trees. So confined area stuff, offset or lift, tagline or guideline, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, there's so many options, and we try to cover all of them depending on what the skill set is. So,
yeah, what I like about SR3 is it's not just centered on the rescuers, while you guys are doing what's probably the most important part, but Dave is also a CFI, and he's coming out and working with the pilots, getting them comfortable with how that works and the interaction between the two. That's huge.
That's huge, because we should have heard. We could hear Chad screaming the whole time during that rescue. So yeah, calming the pilot down would be fantastic, Quinny. I appreciate that.
That's awesome. You know what? That is one of the unique things about SR3 is, as far as I know, we are the only company that has a CFI pilot that goes to the classes and will sit down. And the greatest part about Dave is he's got experience in all these areas. Like, he's done mountain rescue, sitting in the 145. He's done stuff in the MD. You know, he's got the experience to come in. He says, you know what? This is what you need to look at. This is how and why. So for the pilot side, like, I'm not a pilot. I am not afraid to say it. But I can tell you what you're supposed to look at. Oh, yeah? No way. But I mean, I don't fly. So anyway, it's good stuff.
Really, really cool. Any agency that has an opportunity to do some training at SR3, highly recommend it. And, you know, obviously they'll come to you guys to do training as they are doing with RSO. They're also offering some webinars. So, you've seen Jason's face on some of the webinar stuff, which has been really cool to see them do. I sat through one of the webinars, and, you know, my agency, we don't even do that type of work, but I just wanted to see, you know, what their webinars look like. And it was awesome. You know, there was some interactive stuff that was taking place there between, you know, Quinny and Dave and the people that were part of that, I guess, webinar. So yeah, tune into those things. And, yeah. So in closing,
yeah,
guys,
we actually watched the last two.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we watched the hoist emergency operating procedures that you guys did, and then we watched the swiftwater rescue one.
Perfect. Did you pay for one and then have 10 people sitting in the room? Oh, busted.
No. I don't recall.
I was kidding. I love it.
I keep going back to the saying my old boss taught me was, you don't want your first time doing something to be your first time doing something.
Right.
And
it was
you know,
fantastic. It was so fun.
The training that you guys are bringing will help alleviate some of that. I know you can't train for every situation that exists, but, you know, whether it's the training that you're relying upon or your experience or a combination of the two, I feel like it's all you can do is prepare yourself the best you can for these things that are unpredictable.
100%.
So, yeah,
100%. I'll say for the people that are sitting on the edge of the seats, the two people that we went to actually rescue got rescued 35 minutes later by our mountain rescue team, rope rescue. So everyone was safe. No one got left on the side of the mountain. They got rescued 35 minutes later by our rope teams.
Excellent.
That's cool. Yeah.
So don't leave them on a cliffhanger. Like, what happened to the two that we were actually supposed to go for? But by the time we were done with our rescue, they had left where they were training, and then 35 minutes after we left the mountain, they got rescued out of the trees. So
that's cool.
The whole mountain was
consider
safe.
that 35-minute time period though, and that if they were reliant, if that park rangers relied upon their ability to get there and rescue him, based on what Mike's saying.
Oh no,
that guy could have lasted 35 minutes.
He probably had 5 or 6 minutes left. But by the time we got on scene, that's when our corporal had already requested our team mid-flight. Once the emergency came out, he requested it. So it was probably, you know, a 35-minute from when we departed, but they'd already been requested 30 minutes earlier because it was mid-flight. So our corporal did a fantastic job relaying that information earlier than anyone thought about it. But it was so, you know, they probably sat there for an hour and 10 minutes, but we weren't going to get to them anyway. We can't get the hook in the trees like that. So that's why we're welcome to have Quinny come out and train us some tagline stuff. How do you can drop the hook but really swing the hook like that, get under the trees and then pull out of the trees. Yeah. That's something I don't know. I don't know that fancy swinging the hook kind of style. So we look forward to that for sure. 100%.
It'll be fun for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
In closing, and we'll start with Chad. Do you have anything to throw out there that we didn't cover as far as the rescue goes, or anything about your program?
The program's ever evolving. So anytime we have a rescue, we have overlap Wednesdays. So you have the A side, B side of the week. Everyone gets together. We debrief. So we're trying to always constantly learn from, hey, we should have thought of this. What could we have done differently? And always trying to improve the program. So obviously having SR3 come out, that's going to give us a whole new, some more tools for the tool belt there kind of thing.
We couldn't close this podcast out without mentioning Mike Calhoun. You know, his vision and his leadership.
We definitely can. That's fine.
His vision and leadership has contributed a lot of this, and I mean, all of you guys are a big part of this. But you know, when this program kicked off, he was the chief pilot there, and I you know, from an outsider's perspective, he did a lot of good for you guys, for the residents of Riverside County, and just the program in general. So
totally agree. I mean, he's very passionate about it. Just rescues, aviation in general, but just bringing more training. Again, SR3 coming out. It's, not doing the same thing, just saying how you can do it better, and obviously bringing them in kind of show us a different way. So we're always looking to improve, and yes, Mike has been instrumental in doing that for us.
Yeah. And Drew, we'll move to you. Any closing thoughts?
Our unit's fantastic, and our sheriff is amazing, and he gives us all the money we need to get better trained. And he really is sending these guys to some awesome training out of state, just some crazy stuff, and bringing Quinny in and stuff like that now. That we're going to be probably one of the better equipped units in the state to do rescues, and we're going to hit some snags, but we're going to be ready to hit any situation that's necessary, 10,000 feet or below sea level. Our guys are going to be able to do it. It's going to be pretty cool.
And that's the one thing that's interesting about Riverside County. It literally goes below sea level, the Salton Sea, all the way up to 10,000 feet. So you guys literally have, all that in between. Mike, for you, and I just want to start off again by emphasizing, how heroic it was that you came off the hook when you got down to the ground and made your way to the Ranger and rescued the guy. It was an officer down scenario. You guys knew it based on what was being broadcast over the radio. And I think that that influenced your decision and desire to rescue the guy. So again, thank you for doing that. Thank you for, protecting the citizens of Riverside County, the state and the country, but also for our own. We want to protect our own as much as we can. And you did that on that night. So thank you for doing that. Congratulations on the award. That's huge. But in closing, any thoughts on, the rescue, the operation, any of that kind of stuff?
I think that with the experience, training, and equipment that we had that night, there's no other way we could have done it. I think we did exactly the way we could have done it, and I just don't think there was any better way to do it. So, and in the end, it was a successful rescue. We had great pilots, great crew chief, just a great crew that night. Everything fell into place the way it should have. And I don't think it could have gone any better than it did, given the circumstances that we found ourselves in.
Yeah, so. For sure. Quinny, I see you sitting back there all polite.
No, I love it. I love it. It was an amazing rescue. I mean, again, mad props to you guys. Life saved. Well done.
That's what it's all about.
Adapt and overcome to make the rescue. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Quinny, I don't remember, going back to, early parts of your rescue career. I feel like when I interviewed you on the podcast, your first rescue I think it was something pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. It was rough. 20-foot waves. And
Can you just touch on that real briefly? I mean, there's a lend to the story a little bit.
So my very first rescue was we got called out on a medevac out in the middle of the Bering Sea, and the guy was going in and out of consciousness. And next thing you know, I'm being lowered down to the boat, and it's rolling over 20-foot waves, snowstorm coming in. Like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and everything that could have gone right went right. It was like that weird, like kind of like what happened with you guys. We had the tagline, or they call it the trail line in the Coast Guard. Trail line fell out of the aircraft, wrapped around the tail landing gear, like stuff like that. The litter was bouncing off the side of the boat. Sparks are going everywhere. And at the same time, like my flight surgeon is up in the aircraft getting sick, throwing up. Ugh. I was like, oh, this is not good. And at the same time, we got the guy out of once we got everybody in the aircraft and we're heading back, it was smooth sailing. And it was just that short time. It was like, oh my gosh. But that was my very first rescue. I was like, what? I remember getting back and being like, wow, they're all like this. No, they're not. So
yeah, it sounds like, Mike, your story. You're, new in the program. It wasn't your first rescue, but your first 6 months for sure.
Yeah.
And going back to training like this is one of those scenarios where, for Quinny and for you, the training that you guys were a part of prior to this incident for both of you guys gave you enough skill and enough experience to successfully affect the rescue. And that's pretty cool, So anyways, that's my 2 cents. And it's been an honor to hear your guys' story. It's been an honor to do this with Quinny as a podcast mashup. And
thanks, John. Hangar Z represent.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. If you have any questions, hit up Jon Gray at hangarzpodcast.com and he'll answer them for you.
I'll refer him to Chad. All right. Well, for those that go to HI pretty soon, we'll see you out there. For those that don't, hopefully we'll catch you at APSA or somewhere else. You guys.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yep. Have a good one. We'll catch you later.
Later.
All right, guys. Take
Quite
it
a
easy.
nice
See ya,
meeting
boys.
you, John. We'll talk to you. Take care, brother.
All right. See ya. Yeah.
Oh, is this where we say goodbye to?
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Real ResQ Podcast. Please take a minute to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. I'm pulling chocks and taking off. But before I go, if anyone out there has a rescue story they would be willing to share, I would be humbled and honored to have you on as a guest. Or if you have any questions about rescue or anything else we talk about here, send an email to jason@therealresq.com. That's jason at therealresq.com. You can also check us out on our web pages, therealresq.com, our Facebook page, and our Instagram page @therealresq. Again, a special thank you to all of you staying on the watch today. Always remember, when that STAR alarm goes off, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. Until next time, fly safe and swim hard.